Former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo will stay behind bars after prosecutors appealed against his acquittal on charges of crimes against humanity. The International Criminal Court (ICC) in The Hague acquitted him on Thursday and ordered his immediate release. But on Wednesday, prosecutors challenged the decision to release him, arguing that Mr. Gbagbo might abscond. They said he might not appear in court if his acquittal were to be overturned. Mr. Gbagbo had been charged with crimes against humanity in connection with violence following a disputed 2010 election that left 3,000 dead and 500,000 displaced. He was captured in 2011 in a presidential palace bunker by United Nations and French-backed forces supporting his rival, Alassane Ouattara. He is the first former head of state to go on trial at the ICC, pending the decision of the appeals chamber on this prosecutor's request. Mr. Gbagbo shall remain in ICC custody, a spokesman for the court said in a statement. There is a concrete risk that, once released, the accused will not appear for the continuation of the proceeding, prosecutors wrote in a filing. A ruling on their appeal is expected on Thursday. The violence in Ivory Coast, the world's biggest cocoa producer, came after Mr. Gbagbo refused to accept that he had lost a disputed election runoff to Mr. Ouattara in 2010. The 5 months of violence that followed were described as some of the most brutal clashes the country had ever seen. During the political standoff, there were bloody clashes and targeted killings in Abidjan in the south, and several hundred were massacred in the western town of Doukourou. Prosecutors said Mr. Gbagbo clung to power by all means and charged him with 4 counts of crimes against humanity, murder, rape and other forms of sexual violence, persecution and other inhuman acts. He denied the charges, which he said were politically motivated. ICC judges ruled on Tuesday that prosecutors had failed to demonstrate the existence of a common plan to keep Mr. Gbagbo in power, which included crimes against civilians. Presiding Judge Kino Tafisa said the prosecution had also failed to demonstrate that public speeches by Mr. Gbagbo constituted ordering or inducing the alleged crimes. Whenever a case involving mass atrocities essentially collapses at the ICC, it does damage to the perception of the court as a credible and effective institution of international justice. Mark Kirsten, author of Justice in Conflict, told the BBC's Anna Holligan, many are concerned that the court is emerging as an institution where only rebels can be successfully prosecuted. He added, the prosecution at the ICC has also failed in its attempts to build successful cases against former Drive Congo Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba and Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. On the other hand, the ruling demonstrates the judges' independence and impartiality and makes it harder to push the narrative popular among those who fear the long arm of the ICC, that the court is a biased weapon of neo-colonial justice, used purely to convict African leaders. Our correspondent says, 2 Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco, with kids to their necks. The country's interior ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Imlia in the high Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Gbagbo. The women, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths. The Interior Ministry statement said, a popular tourist attraction has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park in eastern Henan Province said it would waive the $9.50 65 yuan ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Meng, who was given bail in Canada, faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. U.S. Huawei phones shoot grand photos on the mountain. A notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said, "We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success in bliss." The offer would last until 29 December, the South China Morning Post reported, but it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory. Huawei phone owners are being offered other enticements too. They can get a 20% discount at a bar in Beijing. Seen in Beijing, bring a Huawei phone and get 20% off. Similar to this story, we covered yesterday https://QQXL1IYPQL Twitter.com Sokolov. End of Twitter post by @LuoShunji. At least one firm has threatened to penalize anyone buying Apple products. A few days ago, Manpada Shenzhen-based Legend display manufacturer offered subsidies to any employees buying Huawei phones. It also pledged to fine anyone who bought an Apple iPhone. United States prosecutors alleged Ms. Meng 46 used a Huawei subsidiary called Skycom to evade sanctions on Iran between 2009 and 2014. They also allege she publicly misrepresented Skycom as being a separate company from Huawei, and that she deceived banks about the true relationship between the two companies. Ms. Meng, who is the daughter of Huawei's founder, has denied any wrongdoing and said she will contest the allegations. Life of Huawei's high-flying heiress. The United States has been investigating the Chinese telecoms giant, the world's second-largest smartphone maker, since 2016, believing that it used Skycom to bring the United States manufacturing equipment and millions of dollars in transactions to Iran in violation of sanctions. Ms. Meng's detention comes amid an increasingly acrimonious trade dispute between Washington and Beijing. China is angry at her detention, saying she has not violated any laws. Beijing has threatened severe consequences unless Canada releases the executive. Since her arrest, 2 Canadians, a former diplomat and a businessman, have been detained in China on suspicion of harming national security. United States President Donald Trump said last week that he might intervene in the United States Justice Department's case against Ms. Meng if it would serve national security interests or help achieve a trade deal with China. If I think it's good for what will be certainly the largest trade deal ever made, which is a very important thing, what's good for national security, I would certainly intervene if I thought it was necessary, he told Reuters news agency. Canada reacted by urging Mr. Trump not to politicize the situation. Our extradition partners should not seek to politicize the extradition process or use it for ends other than the pursuit of justice, Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland said. 2 Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco, with kids to their necks, the country's interior ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Imlea in the high Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Dabco. The women, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths, the Interior Ministry statement said. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group Al-Shabaab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 4 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28, it said in a statement. These were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the United States in January 2017.